Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of the Just Effa podcast. I'm excited to be here, and I'm your host, Effa. So today we are going to be talking about something which I think is super interesting, and that's the concept of employee versus employer. And the reason why I wanted to talk about this specifically is because it is such a big topic in our world today with the whole social media highlight and how everybody's always like, oh, quit your 9-to-5 job and just focus on being an entrepreneur and, ditch the employee lifestyle. Well, one of the things that I want to definitely point out is you can be both and you can choose to either be one or the other. I'm one of those people who I strongly and absolutely believe that you can be two things at once and you can do things at the same time, and two things can definitely exist at the same time, which is very contrary to what many people believe. And the other thing which I think also is I don't believe that some people were definitely born to be entrepreneurs. I would say that, they had it in them from when they were born. But I also do strongly believe that you can learn that skill. And it's a skill that you can definitely enhance over time. I'll give you a true example for myself. Growing up, I used to sell random things. My cousins and I will sell like liver sauce, and then, they'll put it in with bread or chargé with bread, how we used to say it in Cameroon, and then sell. Sometimes, I'll do like random chores, or random things, and then, make money out of it. But never in my life at that age did I think that, I'll be an entrepreneur from this, or this is what, I'm going to do. But I ended up realizing as time went by that this was something that I was called to. This was something that I felt like this is the direction that I wanted to grow my life, or I wanted my life to grow into. However, I still do like accounting. And I want to be very clear about this because this is why I say that you can actually do two things at the same time, and two things can exist at the ssame time. And one of my biggest pet peeves, ladies and gents, it's when people say, you have to choose, or you have to be an entrepreneur versus like only being a 9-to-5 employee. Making people pick, because my thought process is, why can we not be both? But in order to be both and to do both, you need to learn balance. That is super important. Or you can go the route of just doing one versus the other. Now, I want to say that the reason why I believe that I never thought about this or kind of going the entrepreneurial route only because I would say a lot of that had to do with culture. Our culture in Cameroon, and I want to speak specifically about Cameroon, is go to school, get a job, become a big person at your company, have a high-ranking position. I truthfully believe that the Cameroonian culture teaches younger people to be employees and not necessarily employers, which could translate to be entrepreneurs or, startup founders and so forth. Now, it is not a bad way to think, but it makes sense, right? Because it's a method or way of security, and, it's guaranteed that if you have a job, you're guaranteed a paycheck, and you kind of go based off of that. I wouldn't say that, it doesn't happen in other African countries or in the world in general, but just from my experience specifically, our Cameroonian culture is so focused on just being an employee and not being an employer, having that company to be able to run and manage people. It's why I would say a lot of the people who are from Cameroon specifically, we don't own businesses as much as we possibly could or should have, because it hasn't naturally been ingrained in us. Now, I'm going to reiterate, it is not a bad thing, it is just different. But I want to bring this to your attention, and you have to come close. You do not have to be an entrepreneur. Please don't fall into this social media trap of like, ditch your job, ditch your this. One of the biggest things you never want to do to yourself, and people who are entrepreneurs do not talk about this, is financial stability as you build your business is extremely important. There is nothing more frustrating than trying to build a business and worrying at the same time how you're going to make your rent, how you're going to cover your mortgage, how you're going to pay your electricity bills. People do not talk about that enough. You need to have something. You need to be somewhat financially stable. And this could could be living with your parents, this could be living with your significant other, your wife or husband. As long as there's a method of money coming into the house, so much so that you're able to cover, your basic expenses like food, water, electricity, childcare, all that kind of stuff, then you don't have to worry about, oh, how am I building a business, but at the same time I need to, take care of all these other things. I would give you guys another true example, and I bring all of this to say these are things that I have thought about, and it affected my life. Hence this podcast is called Just FM. So last year, 2023, at some point during the year, I quit my job. I was working for a startup, and I was like, absolutely not anymore. I was just tired. I was like, I can't do this no more. I just want to focus on LuxFit and just do that. No problem. I had some money saved, no doubt. I was good. I was building LuxFit, and I would say those 4 months that I did not work for anyone else and I worked for myself that was a good period for me to also know that this is what I truly want to do. However, it got to the point where I needed additional money because LuxFit has not grown to the point where I'm paying myself out of that business, and I needed additional money because I have a problem on my right leg, right? Or I used to have an issue with my right ankle. I fell when I was in college, and it just keeps bothering me from time to time. But last year was really, really bad. I couldn't really walk. It was hard for me to walk up and down the stairs, and I was like, I need to go to the doctor. I had gone to 5 orthopedic surgeons. I'm not even kidding with you guys, in Atlanta. Everybody, if you've gone to a surgeon before, they want to cut and just operate and everything. And I really was like, I don't want to get operated on. I really, really don't want to, because my best friend was getting married in December. My cousin was getting married. I had to travel. The end of the year last year was so busy for me, but I needed to be present for those people in my life. So I was like, there's no way that I'm undergoing surgery. Besides, insurance, all of that. Now, the reason I'm telling you all this story is to tell you that situation happened to me and I needed to get a job. Why did I need a job? Because I needed health insurance. This is why I'm saying there are so many things sometimes that come with the stability of having a job that when you're a full-time entrepreneur, you may not think about. And it sounds all glamorous when people talk about it on the social media platforms, but they don't tell you this side. And that's why we are here. That's why I'm talking about this with you all. Please remember, it is not for everyone. I ended up going back to work, which is where I still work now, so that, I could be able to get some additional money, because I remember I said, we're not going to take money out of my LuxFit coffers. So I was like, I need additional money so that I could pay for the procedure. And let me tell you all, this is another story for another day. But medical expenses in America is crazy. It's really, really crazy. Can you guys imagine that this procedure I had to get, because I was like, surgery is a no-no. So I ended up getting something called PRP. And insurance does not cover. So I had to pay for all 3 treatments out of pocket. Hey! Last year was tough. Trying to save money for that procedure was not easy at all, because it's not like I don't have other responsibilities, but it was so expensive, and I was like, God. But anyways, I needed a job. So let me reiterate, for those who did not hear me in the back, you do not have to be an entrepreneur. You can keep your 9-to-5 job and still be a wonderful and excellent person. Now we're going to caveat to the second part. If you feel like this is something that you want to do and something that you have been dabbling with and saying, well, I may want to go full-time entrepreneur, but I also still like my 9-to-5 job, if you're kind of in the boat like me, or, thinking about it, here are some things that you may want to recognize if they have started happening to you. The first thing is you start feeling the urge of you've been called to do more. This was something that I started feeling when I was in New York in 2018. When I lived in New York, that summer, I started feeling, I was like, I feel like I want to use my voice. I want to use my voice. I talk a lot, as you guys can tell. But I was like, I want to use my voice. I want to talk about stuff. But I didn't know exactly what I wanted to do. But I just felt like I was called to do more, other than being a CPA and other than being an accountant. Now I started my YouTube channel that was going. And then as different things kept happening, I was like, different avenues are opening up, and I feel like I want to do something else. I want to do more. That's when I started realizing that, okay, at the time I didn't want to go full-time entrepreneur, but I started realizing that, oh, no, I'm getting pulled in that direction more. However, I still want my job. So if you start feeling that urge, like you're called to do more, there's more you can do, there's more you can think about, you go somewhere, instead of just enjoying the experience or the environment or where you are, you start thinking about, oh, How much money did they put into this? What's the rate of return that these investors or whoever owns this establishment have gotten? Ladies and gents, that mindset is where maybe God is telling you that, all right, sister, brother, you may be called to do more other than your 9-to-5 job. I'm not telling you full on quit. I'm telling you, you may be called to be an entrepreneur as well. The second thing is you start looking at what other people are doing, and something inside of you is like, I can do that and I can also do it better. Not in a competitive way of like, oh, I don't like what they are doing at all. But you're like, they are doing it. I could do that. I could do that too. That used to happen to me all the time, especially when it came to content creation. Now, I don't think I want to become a full-time content creator by any means, but I do enjoy creating content and I enjoy like filming and everything. I used to work for a tech media company, which absolutely love Chef's Kiss. Shout out to you guys. Maybe they'll say it. I'm not going to say the name, but I absolutely loved it. And that's when I realized that, wow, like I enjoy all the behind. You see, there's so many lights here, my laptop, this, that, all of this. I enjoy this. I enjoy content creation. And I would see other people do it, not necessarily through podcasting, but just how they'll do day in the life, all of that kind of stuff. And I really took interest in that. And I was like, I feel like I can do this too, That's another reason how I started realizing that, okay, maybe God is calling me also to be like, girl, you like accounting, but you also are maybe drawn to the entrepreneurial side of things as well. And then the other thing is you start realizing that the true benefit is in gaining time and in not in gaining money. And one of the biggest things that I would hear people say all the time is, I want to work for myself because I want to be my own boss, which is fine. There's nothing wrong in that. But true entrepreneurship is you start valuing your time. Your mindset starts going towards, is what I'm doing, is this 9-to-5 job a good use of my time? If you cannot answer that question, and if you cannot truthfully say, yes, this is a true use of my time versus this is not, then it may be something where you may want to think about, okay, maybe entrepreneurship is calling my name more. I want to say this again because I started realizing this when I quit my job last year at the startup that I was working at. I realized that to me wasn't a very good use of my time, value-wise. I was driving really far every day to work. Like it would take sometimes an hour, 2 hours, and it was just a lot. It just was not something that I felt like was valuable. If I sat at home and put in that work and that time to grow in Luxfit will go to the next level. And that's when I started realizing that, okay, I think God is calling me way more towards this entrepreneurship route, and it's something that I should look towards, and I should kind of fixate my brain and try to like think about it more, because there may be something that may be more valuable to me. That's something that also happened. And the last point I will leave you all with is you start seeing an opportunity in everything. I mentioned this before. Every little thing that you do, your mindset starts changing. You don't just walk into a room. You don't just visit people. You don't just go to places and your mind is just like, oh, I'm there, I'm going to have fun and everything. There's absolutely nothing wrong in that. But when you get into these spaces, as part of being present, you start thinking about, is there an opportunity for growth here? Is there an opportunity to make some money? Is there an opportunity for potential? What is the return on the investment? And truthfully, that's how my brain started working. And that's when I was like, oh wow, I'm no longer thinking about this as a true 9-to-5 person, but more so like, okay, Effa, you might be kind of going the entrepreneurship route, because everywhere I go, I'm not even kidding with you guys. I started telling my people yesterday that it looks like I'll start selling soya very soon, because now I'm making soya a lot better now. But I was like telling them, like, we're calculating. I'm like, guys, if we do this, I live in Atlanta, there's a lot of Africans here and this and that and that. I started piecing everything together and I'm like, I can cook very well. I've made this soya, it comes out really well. And I'm like, guys, there's so much pattern here. There are Africans here, even non-Africans. Everybody likes soya. Who does not like nicely seasoned beef? And I'm like, there's potential here. They were laughing, but I think there's something there. Tell me if you guys don't think I'm correct. But you start seeing potential in everything. And that's when you might start, it might start clicking in your head like, all right, I may be geared more towards the entrepreneurship route. So I'm going to close this video here. I hope this has helped you guys think about and maybe reflect also on like, is entrepreneurship for me, or is working a 9-to-5 for me? Or does it make sense for me to merge both? I want to leave you all with the fact, it's okay to be interested in both. And it's okay to also be interested in one versus the other. Please don't let anybody pressure you to feel either way. It's okay to do both, and two things can exist at the same time. I'll catch you guys in my next episode, and bye.